And hello everyone, I'm Dan Lutz and welcome to the front lines and the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati, and all those who wish to enslave all of mankind for their own selfish reasons. Well, it's another day on the front line. So I have not heard from Tank as of yet. I got a little bit of a late start as well, but it's still, this was running, waiting for Tank to jump on. So I have not any word what is happening. What the delay is. There's no messages. So we'll just keep going here. So the new year is a lot of things already happening now. I've been telling people about my kind of epiphany when I caught that the Democrats, when they had the impeachment hearings going forward, or the inquiries going forward, they brought forth these professors, and one of them basically made this crack against Baron Trump and said, that Trump thinks himself as a king, right? And we have no titles of nobility. It's cited in the Constitution. Well, recognizing that it was true, but of the original Constitution, and they covered that one up. So interesting that they're citing the original Constitution as opposed to the one that was for the corporation. So there is no titles of nobility, which also meant that there is no way for any attorney, what is a title of nobility from England, from the British Bar Association, right? So that anyone who belongs to the bar has a title of nobility, an esquire, below a knight, right? You have the esquires, and you have the knights, the hierarchy there. So it's a title of nobility, and it was part of the reasoning that there would be a separation of powers. You have the legislative, you have the executive, and you have the judicial. And the attorneys would only really not attorneys, but lawyers, not attorneys, title of nobility. Lawyer is not a title of nobility. A lawyer, your hired representative in a court, would be only in the judicial, right? They could only be there. That was the original intent. So, them bringing up there is this titles of nobility, in the Constitution, that there can be no titles of nobility. That means almost everyone in that impeachment inquiry has no right to sit there as a representative. Cannot be. They all hold titles of nobility. 98% of everyone in Congress is an attorney. Isn't that strange? You think that's peculiar? I mean, there's an occasional doctor, right? There's an occasional, engineer. There's an occasional, activist here and there. But mostly, they're attorneys. Why? Because it was a plan to take over the government. And since they are all beholden to another foreign power, right? They are actually running a foreign government over top of America. That people think it's the original government, but it's not. Now we can, there is some thought that Trump is actually sitting, the first president to sit as president of the Republic for a while, but I don't know how true that is. and maybe he's being president of both at the same time. But in no matter which way it's been set up, whatever the truth is, what we do know is that titles and nobility, for them to bring it up, it was, I believe, just a slip. In their own arrogance, and they know the truth, they let it slip just so that they can slap Trump with saying, oh, he thinks he's a king. When it's they that are thinking that they are the royalty. They're the ones. So, anyway, I've been telling people that of this discovery. So let's see where this can go. See where that can go from here. I'm going to bring up something that was in the WWG1WGA LOVE Telegram group, where we go one, we go all, love Telegram group. Forward, there we go. So this is a Twitter post from Julian's Rum. Today is 1/3/20. So he went and he checked out what is the Q drop 1/3/20, 13/20, and here's what he found. So this came out on May 8th, 2018. Today, evil lost control / leverage of Iran. Today, POTUS took control of Iran. Today, with pending sanctions and military actions, POTUS will gain more ammunition / intel against them. Suicide watch. The deal kept Iran quiet. The goal was to keep POTUS in until impeachment term end. Well, we're there, right? Impeachment until impeachment, or the term is ending. So the impeachment is ending. Bigger than people can imagine. Treason is 1/10, or 1 out of 10, no, 1/10. Ask yourself, why are they panicking? Ask yourself, why is UK, France, and Germany so involved? Trips to the White House? What are they hiding? Why is HRC in NZ, New Zealand? Why is Hillary in New Zealand? Why is New Zealand part of Five Eyes? Yeah, it's very interesting, right? New Zealand, kind of a very far out of the way, country, on the globe, so to speak. It's probably the closest, even closer than Argentina is, and the Falkland Islands on the very tip of South America. It's probably closer to Antarctica than any other place. Just a curiosity. Why is this relevant? Suicide watch again. They say suicide watch. Yeah, I said it twice. Suicide watch. Interesting. So in QAnon, they talk about future proving past. So we always are looking back on 1 year deltas, right? That's one important way of looking at it. Or looking at the current date and checking out a post. So this does seem to be very much talking about right now, isn't it? As though this post could actually serve if, for example, QAnon was not active at all, right? If it was shut down and they weren't able to get back up, but they knew they would be able to. But since we know the comms, since we understand how it all works, we can know to look back as he did, and we would have this being told to us by QAnon from the past, telling us about the future. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and bring up a couple more things that I have out of the WWG1WGA.love Telegram group. There's a lot of talk about drones going around, but they're kind of like all over the place. It's not really. It's kind of hard to follow from what I can see. There's a lot of confusion about a lot of drones flying around. So don't know what that is all about, but interesting nonetheless. So here's something from the White House. Now I haven't seen these yet. Yes, I did see this one actually, but it just made it to this group here. So this is a proclamation on National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, 2020. So issued on December 31st, 2019. If you remember, last Christmas period, Trump also came out with anti-human trafficking. There is also previous to that was the removal of all of the assets of anyone involved with human trafficking. And that was the shutting off of their money back then. So human trafficking erodes personal dignity and destroys the moral fabric of society. It is an affront to humanity and it tragically reaches all parts of the world, including communities across our nation. Each day in cities, suburbs, rural areas, tribal lands, people of every age, gender, race, religion, nationality are devastated by the grave offense. During National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, we affirm our unwavering commitment to eradicate this horrific injustice. Trafficking crimes are perpetrated by transnational criminal enterprising gangs and cruel individuals. So, transnational crime enterprises, right? Transnational criminal enterprises. The people that are in control of the world are running transnational criminal enterprises. Gangs and cruel individuals. Through force, fraud, coercion, and sexual exploitation of minors, traffickers rob countless individuals of their dignity and freedom, splinter families, and threaten the safety of our communities. In all its forms, human trafficking is intolerable blight on any society dedicated to freedom and individual rights and rule of law. Human trafficking is often a hidden crime that knows no boundaries. By some estimates, as many as 24.9 million people, adults and children, are trapped in a form of modern slavery around the world, including the United States. Human traffickers exploit others through forced labor or criminal sex and trafficking profit from their victims' horrific suffering. The evil of human trafficking must be defeated. We remain relentless in our resolve to bring the perpetrators to justice, to protect survivors and help them heal, and to prevent further victimization and destruction of innocent lives. This year marks nearly 20 years since our nation took decisive steps in global fight against human trafficking by enacting the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000, the TVPA. And nearly 15 years since the United States ratified the United Nations Palermo Protocol for Prevention, Suppress, and Punish Trafficking in Persons, especially women and children, the Palermo Protocol. Palermo Protocol. Both the TVPA and the Palermo Protocol establish a comprehensive framework for combating human trafficking by establishing prevention programs, creating victim protections, and advising prosecutions under expanded criminal statutes to usher in modern anti-trafficking movement domestically and globally. These two measures illustrate a global consensus on the issues, and yet as a nation we must continue to work proactively to foster a culture of justice and accountability for this horrific crime. My administration is committed to using every available resource, strengthening strategic partnerships, collaborating with state, local, and tribal entities, and by introducing innovative anti-trafficking strategies to bring the full force of the United States government to help end this barbaric practice once and for all. In January 2019, I was proud to sign both the Frederick Douglass Trafficking Victims Prevention and Protection Reauthorization Act and the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act, reaffirming our commitment to preventing trafficking in all forms. With my resolution support, executive departments and agencies are steadfastly continuing to battle to abolish this form of modern slavery. In October 2019, the 19 members of my interagency task force to monitor, combat trafficking in persons conveyed to highlighting significant accomplishments in our sustained whole of government fight against human trafficking. The Anti-Trafficking Coordination Team, ACT team, initiative, led by Department of Justice, more than doubled convictions for human traffickers in ACT team districts. Additionally, the Department of Homeland Security initiated more than 800 investigations related to human trafficking, and Department of State launched its human trafficking expert consult network, comprised of survivors and other subject matter experts to inform its anti-trafficking policies and programs. The Department of Health and Human Services continues to provide funding for the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and the fiscal year 2018 it funded a victim assistance program that provided benefits of services for more than 2,400 victims. For the first time, the Department of Transportation committed $5.4 million in grants to prevention of human trafficking and other crimes that may occur on buses, trains, and other forms of public transportation. The Office of Management and Budget also published a new anti-trafficking guidance for government procurement officers to be more effectively combat human trafficking and federal contracting. The inherent dignity, freedom, and autonomy of every person must be respected and protected. Despite the progress we have made and the momentum we have built towards ending human trafficking, there is still more to be done. This month, we renew our resolve to redouble our efforts to deliver justice to all who contribute to the cruelty of human trafficking, and we will tenaciously pursue the promise of freedom for all victims of this terrible crime. Now, therefore, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim January 2020 as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, culminating in the annual observance of the National Freedom Day on February 1st, 2020. I call upon industry associations, law enforcement, private businesses, faith-based and other organizations of civil society, schools, families, and all Americans to recognize our vital roles in ending all forms of modern slavery, and to observe this month with appropriate programs and activities aimed at ending and preventing all forms of human trafficking. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 31st day of December in the year of our Lord 2019, and the independence of the United States of America, the 244th. Donald J. Trump. So there we go. Donald Trump in action. You know, there's a lot to in this, right? Uh, but so redoubling the efforts is one of the things that caught my mind. Africa said, 2,400 people were helped out of 25 million, or 24.9 million. So very interesting. Also, when we talk about who they're bringing under, reaching out to handle this, they also talk about tribal entities that they're working with, which I also find interesting. But overall, the commitment to ending this scourge is obviously one of the main points. This has to do with Epstein. This has to do with Clinton Foundation. This has to do with Saudi Arabia. This has to do with the dismantling of this structure across the world. What's going on in Haiti, what's going on in the Philippines, what's going on everywhere on every country on the planet where this is taking place. The human trafficking is not just for sexual exploitation or labor. It's also being used for harvesting of body parts, for food, for experiments. So, all in all, it's the treating of humanity as an item to be owned, as chattel. And this is, I think, one of the most important parts to understand, right? That we are not chattel, that we are not, an item to be possessed. That we are independent. That's why when we talk about sovereignty, they try to label sovereign citizens, for people and say that they're terrorists. Well, there is no sovereign citizen. They're sovereigns, right? You can't combine the two, because to be a citizen is to mean that you're under something. The whole point of sovereigns is who were the sovereigns of the past. These are the kings, the titles of nobility, right? The people that are noble, the royalty. They are sovereigns. They own everything. No one can tell them what to do. Right? So, in setting up the United States, what it did, which is the unique thing in the world, what America is unique to all other countries, is it said that people, everyone, is not owned by anyone else. They are all sovereigns. Now, when everyone is a king, the rules are different, right? So what happens when two kings come together, right? They have to do treaties, have to come into agreement with one another. So this is why this has been such a hard development. We're not out of the revolution. It's never ended. Why I started talking about, we've got two constitutions dealing with us, right? One is the original, and one is the secret one they slipped in. One for the corporation, the one that treats us as property. Not the one where we are sovereign, where we are individually sovereign. Not sovereign citizens. This is a trick, one of those things that they do. As soon as you say you're a citizen, brings you right back in. And when you're in their system as a sovereign, you're a traitor. You are an enemy combatant. You can be gone after. So that's all this wordplay, all of this stuff that basically convinces, where you have to make a complete study of it. But since they've institutionalized it into all the forms of government, all of the apparatuses, all of the levers of power, it's made this dictatorial system that kind of was moving us further and further down the assembly line of products, until they make the final output, whatever that was, part of the human trafficking. moving us through the assembly lines. So this coming month is, I guess February is going to be or January. Is it January or February is the month? It ends on February 1st, so it's all of January. So all of January is the until Freedom Day on February 1st. So what so this has been like the centerpiece of what Trump's has been doing. When Trump took office in the very beginning, what happened was he immediately 3,600 pedophiles were arrested in the first 3 months. You can't say that 3,600 pedophiles were arrested in the previous 30 years. I really don't know what the statistics are, but I know, it's my feeling that it wasn't anything near that. I didn't do the investigative work, but you tell that this is a much different scenario. I saw some reports of when the kids were rescued, and they were over 400 kids in California were rescued. Some of them in cages, and the groups that were going from place to place and doing these raids and getting these kids freed, they were saying, why is this not on the news? Why is it not on the news? Well, the answer is it's obvious, right? It's because we're in a controlled illusion. They don't want the cows, the chattel, to know what's going on at the end of the assembly line, where you get a bolt through the head. All right, they just wander down this hall, and it gets close, narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower, and then the cows can only walk one way. They have to squeeze through. Oh, it goes down and gives them a bath, and they walk out of that, or they have to swim a little bit through that, and then they come back up. Oh, they're all clean now, and walking through it, bolt in the head into the meat processing. All very structured, already ordered, all an assembly line. All for the chattel. So all of this is what Trump has been fighting. This is what the Patriots have been fighting. It's the whole, all wound up, and that's why bringing forth all this information and doing the focus is bringing up the attention level of everyone. To know this is what it's all about. Freedom. Freedom, and for our pursuit of happiness. And not the illusion of happiness. Yeah, you may have picked up on a lot of that in movies or in philosophies and things. Oh, happiness is just an illusion. Everything is an illusion, right? So, no, it's real. We need to pursue happiness. There's no guarantee of happiness. And we individually have to pursue it on our own. It can't be given by a government. Here's your daily allotment of happiness. Don't use it all in one place. No hoarding of it either, because we'll take it back from you. So this is showing that we are really moving forward on this track. So it's very much appreciative. I'm really happy to know that Trump is there, been on the case doing this. All right. Well, I wonder if it's possible for me to go get a hold of Tank right now. It's ringing. Let's see what's going to go on here. Now, everyone's expecting an update, right? Phone is ringing. But no answer. Okay, well, I do not know what that means. So I guess we'll have to figure it out as we go here. Well, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and continue with some of the other things that are coming up in the Telegram group, because I'm relying on the information coming here to see what's going on. So on the same page here. Yep. So, hey, Iran, America is having, how's it saying? All right, so F around and find out. All right, so to Iran, President Rouhani, never ever threaten the United States again, or you will suffer consequences, the likes of which few throughout history have ever suffered before. We are no longer a country that will stand for your demented words of violence and death. Be cautious. Well, that's all caps. So that's meaning business right there. So it's interesting, you know. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. I'm gonna see what the next item coming up in the group is. Now you can join this group. It's just look for WWG1 in Telegram. WWG1 WGA LOVE. And something was removed from there, so they didn't want that out. What was it? After today, if you're against real Donald Trump, give the order to retaliate against and attack our embassy and killing a monster who was hated especially by the people. That's as much as I could read out of it, but it's been removed. All right. We have alerts and questions. Okay, what's this going on? Skip that. Okay, here's another one. But there's some conversation in between these posts as well. I wish I could show it to you, but it doesn't allow me to show it through the broadcast software. I do not know why. So I have the cases, and I'm trying to find all the specific charges and sentences. Murder might be the one for them, because some were giving life sentences, multiple deaths as a result of weather modification. Many went to prison. And this is interesting. I don't know what it's all about in particular. Go on there. I'm looking to see if maybe there's a message from Tank. I don't see any. Sometimes it's hard to go through all my messages here. Okay, I'll go on to the next ones anyway. Who knows this? All right. Under Titles of Nobility Act, if you're a lawyer, you cannot be in Congress. How many in the House and Senate are lawyers? There we go. It's making it out, right? It's spreading. Let's keep it going. Let me go ahead. I'll go ahead and give a retweet on that. I'll give it a like. So, what's next here? Well, I'm not going to go through this one. This looks pretty intense story here, and I haven't read it already, so I'll come back to it. I can always bring it back up tomorrow. going here. The YouTube.
What are your major takeaways?
My major takeaway is that Soleimani is basically the Osama bin Laden of the Shiite world. Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, and Soleimani was the commander of that state sponsor of terror. And so today, the killing of General Qasem Soleimani really should be celebrated as, and I shouldn't say the killing, the elimination of Soleimani is really a watershed moment in the war on terror, and I think really a great victory for freedom. But because, of course, this was carried out by the Trump administration, you're going to be inundated in the next 24, 48 hours with negative spin.
Yeah, I would say that's true. So let's just talk about this guy for a little bit here, and what just happened. So we have this uprising, right? That the CNN and all the mainstream media basically said that they were, protesters and that, and again in Iraq against the American embassy. And Trump acted very quickly, right, and put things in, and this also, I also said that this came out at the same time that the Pfizer report from Durham had been put out. So it's a coincidence, right? No coincidence. It's like take the news cycle over. But in the past, when these things happen, the mainstream media would go off with their spin and keep people talking about other things while other things are going on. But there was a retaliation by Trump. He killed one of their generals. Now, why this is unusual is because this is a general, not a leader of a terrorist group per se, though you could make that argument that he is a terrorist leader. But he's literally an official general of another country that was purposely taken out of the picture in retaliation for something that they've done. This doesn't happen, right? And officially, right? It said, "Oh, you don't take out the leaders of other nations, right? Even though you have the capability of like dropping a bomb on the leader's house, right? You don't do it, right? Because the idea is you don't assassinate the leaders of other countries because that would basically mean that they could assassinate our leaders, right? That's the theory. Now that the clowns out there, are obviously always overturning governments at will and taking out the leaders they don't want there. But what this also does, it protects the cabal governing structure. But Trump is not playing by those rules, is he? So you think that the leaders of in these militaries around the world that are on the cabal side may now think twice about taking actions that are going to be going up against the interests of the world, against the human traffickers, against Trump, against America? I think this is very well orchestrated. Just like they took out Baghdadi, right? They're taking out the structure, the governing structure of the cabal, which includes generals like this. So I think this is the counter, right? This was part. I think they probably knew that they were going to do it. Going back and looking at how we started with this original one, it's like real quick, what was said. Let me pull that back up again. Yeah, this is the one. So today, evil lost control, leverage of Iran. Today, POTUS took control of Iran. Today, with pending sanctions and military actions, right? POTUS will gain more ammunition and intel against them. Suicide watch? The deal kept Iran quiet. What deal? Well, the money given to them, right? By Obama. The goal was to keep POTUS in until impeachment term end. Bigger than people can imagine. So, this gameplay that's been going on, this whole world structural gameplay. You can call it five-dimensional chess, whatever you want to call it. You know, the meeting with Kim Jong-un and crossing the DNZ border. You know, the lining up of the royalty around the world. The original, governing structure of the world, the royalty. Right, the power that also has been pushed aside in some ways by this cabal, right, to create this one world government that was under a religion of Islam combined with communism, right, until they could wipe out all forms of religion, right, but they'd use Islam as a tool. But this worldwide change that has been going on, that Trump has been the forefront, on the front lines, creating the scenario in which these other countries are now lining up with Trump and bringing the royalty on board. The Emperor of Japan, the Queen of England, Kim Jong-un is of royalty. And what people probably don't realize is that the royalty of China also reaches from Korea as a province of China. But it's the political situation just is all manipulated. It's set up as a zone separated from China, right? So you may say that there may be another sort of gameplay that's been going on there that Kim Jong-un wants to get out from underneath, right? So the old power base is what's being drawn upon to get rid of this cancer, this cabal, Khazarian mafia, the bloodline families. I don't want to say monarchies or bloodline families, and that is true. But what it's become is this other thing, right? This cancer that's infected the royalties. You can whatever whatever it has. Been in the past, the power base that's there is still a foundational power base around the world, even though it's been suppressed. We can see that there's a very big change that's coming right now, and this is going to have to do with moving past everything that we've known as the truth in the world. Because that is the illusion. It's all been presented to us to get us to be separated, to separate us against everyone. And I can tell you wherever I've traveled in the world, and I've done extensive travels, I spent a lot of time in a lot of countries, diverse countries. Some I just visited for a while. Some I spent a lot of time in. But you know what? People everywhere are pretty much the same. The differences are cultural, but the people are pretty much the same. There's good people and bad people everywhere, and the good people far outweigh the bad people. It's not even funny. It's only a very very small amount, small percentage are the bad people, right? Literally, they're born wrong. They're into this negative energy stuff. That whatever reason that is, whether it was planned by it was genetic engineering, hybridizations, particular blood types. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know is that there are some people out there that are doing bad things, and that it is their nature. But it's definitely not even close to a majority. It's not close to a super minority. It is like in the less than a third of a percent. It's tiny. A tiny amount. But it's this much bigger percentage is the go along crowd, which is the majority. They don't want to get involved. They kind of like just go along with it, and that's why those people that are interested in controlling and power can maneuver themselves into positions and get those other groups just to go along by giving them false realities. And that's what we're dealing with here. Well, let's just say we've come out of this already, right? But we still have to deal with the cleanup. The rest of the draining of the swamp has just begun. It started with the mass arrest of pedophiles. Those removals of the first 3,600 people when Trump got into the office. That was the start. Let me pull up something here. I went to YouTube. That was it. I have no idea why that happened. I'm going to end that. Let me try that again. That's correct. I don't know why it went to that other one. It was like it was redirected to YouTube. Okay, this is qmap.pub. Anything new? Nope, nothing since December 30th, right? But go down to human trafficking, and we can see arrests that are going on, and we also have rescued, right? Who was rescued? Well, here's 12 in August. 4, 1, 5. These are people that were rescued. Let's look at resignations. December 18th, Principal Deputy Undersecretary, U.S. Department of Defense. Board Member, Air New Zealand. State Representative. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. So Director of DARPA resigns December. It's not normal. We don't have these tons of resignations happening at these high levels all the time. Legend Holdings, China, parent company of Lenovo. CEO and Chairman, DANK Equity. Let's see, United States Automotive Association. Thomas Miller, CEO and President, resigned, or retired, right? Retired, resigned. So we have all of these resignations happening. C2 Ocean AS resigned, Norway. Netherlands, Maris NV resigned. So just to show that we are having this turnover happen. If I can get, and we have our sealed cases. I wonder if we have an update. No major updates. It's been there. There's been an update on this in a little while. It's interesting to me that they haven't updated it. So right now this is backtrack analytics. So these are POTUS and QAnon posts. You see how they kind of, there's a correlation to them. Resignations. Starting back in August of 2017 at 3 resignations. To September, 72 resignations, 107, 143, 285, 480, 495, 440, 442. So this is up to May. So this is like going up to here, like 1 year later. It's going up 650 in a month. Starting again down here at 3. So all these people are being resigning or retiring, right? Unusual amount from these top places around the world of power. To where we're here, and this is December 2019, 212, which is still way up from 3 in a month, right? Massive amount of resignations. And the sealed cases, still going on to November. So last update date here was November. And it was going up about 5,000 every month. And that was really more about 5,000, 5,500. And unsealed, and that none unsealed. Interesting. So here, back in August 2019, 14,729. So that's a lot of cases unsealed anyway. All right, and it's gone up only a couple hundred. Right, and then it stayed flat for 2 months. So interesting, right? We're continuing to add unsealed, the unsealed cases are continuing to come in at about 5,000. I wonder what's happened in December. I wonder if it's still another 5,000. So David Wilcox basically had put out there that, I'm sorry, I wasn't showing it to you. There we go. That's the screen I was looking at. There's the sealed cases, the map, and this is the human trafficking. I'm sorry I wasn't showing this to you. Right. Executive orders. Trump doing a lot of things, right? Providing costs of executive departments and agencies of federal government on December 24th. Combating anti-Semitism. Establishing a task force on missing and murdered American Indians and Alaska natives. I believe that's land grabs is what that's all about. I think, this is from stuff in my past and conversations going back like 7-8 years ago. Right? And also noticing what they were doing in Hawaii to take over the lands. Right? And here's the resignations. December, 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 and so on. You go to the next page, but you get the idea. Resigned, 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 term ended, fired, resigned, resigned, retired, 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 resigned, resigned, resigned. So a lot going on this front. So go ahead Well, we can see that there is going to be something going on with these court cases. David Wilcox had said on Edge of Wonder, he said that he was told that 3/4 of this is for the press, and that makes sense. What we've been shown, and what everybody knows, is that they're not independent journalists. They're not the press. They're giving the same information repeated on every channel. The same words. Boom, boom, boom. That's why we're being shown this. That's why everyone's being made aware that they're saying exactly the same thing and they're doing things that make no sense. For anyone that really looks at it, not about, just the ones that are just going along with the talking points. There's a certain set of the population, about 30%, is just going to go along with it, right? That they're already going. It's kind of like it doesn't matter. They know it's not right, or they think it's right, or whatever. They're just going to go along with it. But the rest of the people woken up and said, "Listen, this is too much. It's not making any sense. They're all repeating exactly the same thing against Trump, but it doesn't hold up, right?" So they've partially awake. And the people that are leaving, retiring, getting out of the way, I think it's 5 generals stepped out of, resigned, or were forced out of the military last month. I might be wrong on the number, but I think it's 5. It was just, I picked it up along the way here. So this is a time where we know that there is something coming right now. With Iran losing the Iranian people, look what Pompeo's been telling. Look at the Iranian people. They can rise up and get rid of these fools. All of this was put in place as part of the deep state apparatus to create the boogeyman. Kim Jong-un, boogeyman. Iran, boogeyman. Listen, I'm not saying that they weren't doing bad things, right? But the scenario was set up, right? Kim Jong-un, I'm sure, was brought up thinking, by what his father said, is that the great Satan is America and it's the enemy. The people in Iran are not bad people, but they have this. The Shah of Iran was removed, and we're immediately in this scenario with the captured hostages and terror. And who was in the White House at the time? The vice president, George H.W. Bush. Creation of terrorism around the world as an enemy that we could mobilize a fight against. We know what's going on with 9/11 and the Twin Towers coming down and all the evidence that's coming out. This is, people are going to be shown what has really been going on, and it's going to freak some people out. It's going to freak most people out. Actually, my ex-wife called me today because I've been sending this information about the vaccines and stuff going on in California to my daughter, right? So she wanted to ask me about it. And I told her, a lot. Right? She listen. She knows the path I've been on, right? We were married, 18 years, and I told her to watch Jupiter Ascending as a movie. I said, this is the story. This is what's going on. And it's a good ending. Right? Because, Jupiter is ascending, and is basically, or in this case, Kim, and that this is a good time, and the shackles have been removed from the planet. But it doesn't mean that there's not going to be strife in California as one of the places where the bad people of the planet are going to continue with their plan, thinking they can still pull it together. So we're on the winning side, and but we have to go through this. And the more people that get in action and take action and do something about it, about what's going on, like Lawful America and what Tank has done there. You know, I actually told Tank, I saw one of his broadcasts, you know, that get just posted. Interesting thing enough is that they're coming to my feed line again on my YouTube channel. You know, the stuff they're coming in, it's like it's popping up. So Kim must have done something right. As I told Tank yesterday, yeah, my line is a flat line here on subscriptions. Why is it still there? We have Kim help me out too. You know, so it's like no one's subscribing. I know it's like on the new software. I talked about that software that's analyzing. I can see what's going on. Oh, suddenly I can't see anything on that software now. They must be listening. Now, I'll take this moment to say, subscribe, share this video, please share it, get this out there. Maybe tomorrow we'll get more information about what's happening with the Kim update. Actually, I labeled this one Kim update. KIMS, KIMS, the system, KIMS update. And there is no update for today because Tank didn't show. But I complimented Tank on his video, and I said, and I'm so thankful that he's doing what he's doing. The passion and emotion he's bringing to it, you know, it rings so true with what he's saying. But this is a fight, right? And if they basically vaccinate those people forcibly, that they're responsible, and we're basically forming grand juries, and we're coming after them. If you're just the go-along type in the government that's been in the like teachers or other people in the local government just going along with this because the governor says we've got to vaccinate and we're going to have these armed people come in and push people into camps, so they're just going to go along with it. They're responsible. The German officers that were said, I was just following orders, pushing people into the ovens. You know, they're responsible. They did it. It's not right. Even that's not a action of war, right? Where on the battlefield and bombs bursting over all around and people dying and people killing one another. That's a wartime scenario. That's following orders. Take that hill. Pushing people into the ovens that you've loaded up with fluoride so that they don't resist you. Now, you're going to force people into get vaccinations against their will for their own good. You're deluding yourself. So it is your responsibility to stand up and work against it, just as it's everybody's responsibility to realize what's going on. The evidence is there. It's laid out in Lawful America. Help spread the word there. Help join wwg1wga.love. Support us in our actions, what we're doing. Until the other things break loose. I'm ready to do kringlegold.com. This is in the testing period right now. Everything is looking good. People are anxious and ready to go. We've got about 750 people that have registered for the website. All right, we've got about 300 people that are leaders that are in our leaders group, Telegram leaders group. That's another effort that's meant to bring abundance into the hands of everybody. You know, designed as an engine, right, to bring abundance and distribute it into the hands of the people. For those that take some effort, to make some effort to do something, they get benefits for doing it. And it's done as a private society, right? Not an incorporated entity. It's done for the people, those that want to participate, right? And we do it in a system that makes abundance based upon what the world has put there in place. So join us there on gold.com.